is mo bhuíochas tíochain féin a sucht an rún seo choras cóna dála agus an deise bheith agan bheith páirteach sa díospóireach seo. Cuir sibh an scéim seo ar fionraí, agus tá bréagá insint agah maidir leis an scéal. Cuir mé mar sinné, tá muid dír na mréag a ríis ó híh cadthaig tarlú an seo. Tá litúr agam a chur an núldam go ruirt an rainn go raibh an scéim seo cara ar fionraí raibh an nolog. Dardaí mé cosú le gatseachta dála eile é an seo a ríis agus a ríis. Dardaí mé é mar cheist ar sonraí úndómh, dardaí mé mar hapicail, dardaí mé ar urlar na dála. Agus ní rang mé ná an éon soléireachta áil, agus bhí an Taoiseach ag caint a scáthíomh a bhéal maidir leis an scéal seo ag rá nach rá sé cara ar fionraí agus go méid scéim nua i gceist. I have, thank you to Sinn Féin for bringing this. It's interesting, I had a slip of the tongue in relation to Fine Gael, because quite a number of your backbenchers raised questions in relation to this issue over and over, including the former Ceann Comhairle. Such was the uncertainty in relation to this. The City Council in Galway was informed that this scheme was suspended. I raised it in every manner I could. Promised legislation as a topical issue, questions with other TDs, and there was absolutely no clarity given to me in relation to it. I was told it wasn't suspended, yet the City Council told me that there were 16 units in the middle of a contract that there was no certainty about whether that was going to be lost. 11 of those had sitting tenants. I have a letter here, as every other TD has, telling me that the council is not answering them, the landlord, in relation to the wish to sell the house under the tenant in situ scheme. No reply from the council. Another letter here similarly. But let me look then at the task force in Galway that's sitting now since 2018, because the situation is so crucial down there, and such is the emergency. And you know what the new chairperson told us of that back in November, and we have no minutes since then. You get no feeling that there's urgency here, except in the words of the chairperson, who said we must massively scale up our delivery of social housing. It's acknowledged by both local authorities that the targets haven't been met, and it's acknowledged an acknowledgement targets are not being achieved. And then when it comes to the tenant in situ scheme, page 3 of the minutes, regarding the tenant in situ, Mr. from the department advised was introduced, as you've outlined, in 23 as a temporary measure, and so on, and then it was renewed. It says the department has consistently indicated this limit to the local authorities, but this figure has been exceeded, and this scheme should be a scheme of last resort. Now, I share concerns in relation to the scheme and value for money, but I place the blame firmly on your shoulders for not monitoring this scheme, for not having the figures at your fingertips as to whether it is value for money. And at the moment, it's a necessary scheme. Like all the schemes you've brought in, they've become necessary, but they're all pieces without an overall picture. And so what you've done here is brought in a scheme, the officials in the council got the work ready, and then you just cut it, and then you told us you didn't cut it, and you played games, silly games in relation to absolutely silly games in relation to where the truth lay. And across every party, they have raised questions in relation to this. How did that happen, ministers, if that's not accurate? How was it not clear guidelines given in relation to this, or news of a proper review being carried out by whom, within what length of time? In the meantime, your new restrictions are appalling. And what's going to happen is our homeless services are at full capacity in Galway City. Full capacity. There are no properties available under the HAP scheme. The Simon report tells us that every quarter of every year for a number of years now, when they look at even under the discretionary schemes. So homeless at capacity, no properties available under HAP, and you're doing this with a scheme. It's simply tá sé do creidse, agus ní féidir glacu leis, agus a ríis má bhuíochas tíochain féin a sucht an deis a chóirt dún a laid soléirú a áil. Ach mas féidir a rá lumsa na tithe a bhí I mbaol ó híomh an scéim a bheith ar fionraí, an bhfuil na tithe sin inis I seileamh na Comhairle in Galia. Tá sé ordaí go min minic agam agus ba bhatam soléirú. Gur magat.